Hey everybody, I'm John from Electronic Audio Experiments, and today I'm here to talk about our brand new Greathammer. The Greathammer is our first permanent bass-centric offering in the lineup. It's sort of a readaptation of the Obstructures X EAE bass driver, which had exactly one batch in mid-2025, and then we had to abruptly discontinue it. So we're picking it up where we left off, and I'm really excited to share this more compact, more accessible format. So for those who don't know, the Greathammer is descended from the famous Trainer TS50B. This is one of our favorite bass amps. It's got a very iconic place in 90s noise rock thanks to bands like Shellac and the Jesus Lizard. But if you go to a lot of punk and hardcore and alternative rock shows, you'll find a lot of Trainers kicking around. We love this amp for a variety of reasons, but the main one is that it's got this very distinctive, grindy solid-state overdrive. And the source of that is this circuit that engineers at Trainer called the Tri-Comp. The Tri-Comp is basically a three-band distortion where three transistor pairs are each fed with their own crossover network, and the implementation results in this kind of jagged stair-step waveform that has an incredibly distinctive sound. And you pair that with the very heavily mid-scooped voicing of the preamp and the tone controls, and you get this unmistakable sound. The shortcoming of this, and the reason we made this pedal, is that the tone stack makes it very hard to get a strong bass response, especially at high gain. Other pedal interpretations that we've seen of the Trainer circuit don't really go beyond the original amp, and so I saw a chance to do something a little bit different. So what we did here was we distilled the original tone controls down to the attack toggle, or the attack pot, and then a notch toggle, both of which can approximate a lot of the response of the original amp. But the original passive bass control, which is pre-gain, is now located at the end of the circuit after clipping, where it can give you a huge low frequency boost without any additional coloration. So let's dive into the controls, because this thing is better heard than described. And I'm going to start in a pretty moderate setting here. I'm actually going to start with the bass all the way off, because that is the closest to the original amp. And as I turn it up, you'll see what I mean when it restores this missing low end. So here we're going to get like a fairly cleanish bass setting. Really quick, I'm using my God City Craftsman bass into my Audio Kitchen Big Trees in DI mode. So it's just a tube buffer, nothing else. And that's going into a Radial Pro DI, and then into a Science Amps 2x15 impulse response running in Reaper. One other thing I'll note is that the Greathammer features our intelligent bypass circuit. So if you hold it down briefly, it will turn on and then back off, or you can toggle it on and off as normal. Here's just my clean tone. This is, again, just the DI rig I was talking about. Pretty basic stuff. And here's the Greathammer set fairly clean. One thing I will note is that the level and drive controls really want to work in opposition from one another. At lower gain settings, you'll want to run the level a lot hotter, and as you turn the gain up, it is going to get a lot louder, and you'll want to turn that level control down. It's a very dynamic pedal, so dial it in accordingly. And of course, it can get very loud. Probably clipping the interface there, but hey, it sounds pretty good. At full clean, it is indeed all the way clean. But as you turn up the gain, it gets pretty fuzzy. And that is just the beginning of what this thing can do in terms of the range of gain. The attack knob and the notch toggle are both very interactive with the distortion character. So I'm going to back this off a little bit and show you the sweep of the attack control. This is a vestige of the treble control on the original amp, but tuned for a wider range. So I'm going to start, you've heard it in the middle position. I'm going to turn it up a little bit and show you what that sounds like. And already you can hear that super like bright but kind of woody sound. Now, if I go the other way, it's going to get a lot darker and smoother. And all the way down. Now, if I turn up the gain with this, you're going to get more of like a fuzzy character. Now, I'm going to return this back to the center and turn the gain down a little bit and show you the 3 positions of the notch toggle. Right now, we've been in the most heavily mid-scooped setting. I'm going to go to the down position, which is more of a moderate mid-scoop. And if I go back here, you can hear that difference. And then in the upper position, and that's the flattest mid setting. Now, it actually sounds pretty mid forward, and that's a consequence of everything else in this circuit having a fairly focused mid response. And so by cutting mids, you're kind of psychoacoustically flattening it out. And you can really hear this effect at higher gain and attack settings. So that gives you an idea of those 2 tone controls in tandem. There's a lot of different shades that come from the EQ, especially with how it interacts with gain. So experimentation is, of course, key. Now, the knob that sets this pedal apart is the bass control. This is a circuit that is boost only. It's a combination of a passive bass shelf boost and an additional gain stage that work in tandem to give you a clean bass boost. So when it's at 0, this is akin to the original amp, but as I turn it up, it's going to add that clean low end. So we're going to start at this neutral setting, and I'll go in the moderate mid cut position. You'll notice that I turned the level down a bit to compensate because we're bringing back all of that fundamental energy which was lost before. So this is, I really like the way we did the bass knob here. And if you'll oblige me soapboxing a bit, I'm really not a fan of traditional clean blends. I find that the mix of very clean, unaffected bass with heavily distorted bass tends to sound disconnected and unnatural. So instead, we restored low end the old-fashioned way by just adding a bunch of gain to it. And I just think it sounds more glued together. Now, I will say, if you do parallel mixing with a low-passed clean blend or add a bit of compression or saturation to glue it together, that makes it a lot better. But doing a parallel circuit that fits with this led to all kinds of strange places, and we really liked the active EQ approach. So that's the set of controls on this thing. Next up, I'm going to talk a little bit about some how it sounds with guitar, because y'all requested that on the bass driver demo. I'm going to get into a little bit of stacking, and then if you're a super nerd, then I'm going to actually run this thing through our audio analyzer and show you the sweep of the tone controls. So thanks for sticking around. So I know I said that this thing is our first bass-specific offering, but after we did the Obstructures X AAE bass driver, a lot of folks asked how it sounds on guitar, and some of the demos even featured some really excellent guitar segments. So I want to just give my thoughts on how this thing behaves on guitar. The tone control voicing is generally way off, but it does sound really nice on a lower tuned guitar, especially on the neck pickup. So I'm using my trusty Telecaster, which is tuned in C standard, and here it sounds clean. Once again, using the big trees, and this time I'm using one of the Zach Weeks TL806 impulse responses. Here's the pedal in a setting that I like for guitar. Notice the attack knob is below noon. I pretty much always keep it there on guitar. If I turn up the gain a little bit, you get this. And you can hear it's got that like cool sort of swampy thing. It almost brings out like using like an Ampeg V4 kind of vibe, but it's a lot more gross. And here it is at really high gain. Now, if I turn the bass down and the mid notch, or disable the mid notch by going in the upper position. Here's higher attack. You almost get that kind of like snarly HM2 thing. And if you dial the gain back, you can really lean into this, especially as a DI, I think like... Yeah, it gets pretty gross, but it's a unique sound. I figured I'd throw in some sounds in there. So try it yourself and let me know what you think. Since the Greathammer descends from an actual amp, we can use it as a preamp pedal. And this means that it really, really likes stacking. So if I set the Greathammer in a more neutral capacity like this, I can run other pedals into it. So I'm going to try some stacking combos that I think are pretty interesting and just run through them rapid fire style. So we'll do the Halberd. We're going to do the Little Gruff by our friends at Clodhopper Devices. And then we're also going to do the Slab by our friends at Concrete Sound Lab. Enjoy. So for this portion of the video, I wanted to try something a little bit different. I'm running the Greathammer into our Quantasylum QA401 audio analyzer, and I'm going to show you some frequency sweeps of the pedal under different control settings. I don't want to suggest that listening with your eyes is the right way to go, but it might give you a peek into some of our design decisions. If you want more of a deep dive in things like the clipping response, the manual also has some cool oscilloscope traces and similar data. So you can see here in bypass, the frequency response is totally flat. The Greathammer does have buffered I/O with high fidelity modern op amps, and so there's absolutely zero distortion, coloration, etc. And it also means that the bypass switching is extremely quiet. So when I turn this on, we're going to see, I'm going to start with the bass off, notch toggle in the middle, and attack at noon, and just a little bit of gain. And so here you can see already there's this aggressive mid-notch present. This is really a big part of the sound of the original trainers as well as this pedal. I'm going to turn up the attack control, and you can see the whole thing is going to shift around. Okay, we'll do a little less gain here. And you can see that the frequency response really favors higher frequencies. And if I go the other way, you can see that I get a bit of a bass boost. It's not quite a tilt, but there's certainly a bit of tiltiness to it. Attack back at center. Here is this is the most aggressively mid-scooped position. If I go down, you can see that the mid-notch is going to be less intense and it's going to shift up a few hundred hertz. And then in this position, it is effectively bypassed altogether, though note there is still some mid-scooping from the original tone stack. So that is just part and parcel to this, but if you want a flatter mid setting, attack a little below 9 o'clock will get you there, though you heard how dark that sounded during the previous portion of the demo. Now, if I turn up the gain a little bit, you can see there's some bandpass filtering taking place. Some of the extreme lows and highs are shaved off as this control is turned up, and that just keeps things sounding focused. Now, of course, we want to go to the star of the show, which is the bass control. As we turn this up, you can see that extreme low frequencies are increasing, and eventually you're going to get this absolutely monstrous 12 dB bass boost in the low frequencies. And so that's where all of that restored fundamental energy is coming from. So anyway, just something I wanted to show you. I thought this would be pretty interesting. So thank you. So this concludes our technical demo of the Greathammer. The Greathammer is now available worldwide on our website and through our participating retailers. So thanks for checking us out. We realize that, lots of things in this world demand your attention, and this is but one more of them. So if you made it this far, I want to extend a thanks from myself and from the whole team here at EAE and Hyper Triangle. So thanks, folks. Cheers, and happy riffing. Bye.